The train from Chicago to New York was delayed by 18 minutes, just long enough to throw James Scott's schedule off. He hated delays. Every minute mattered when you were negotiating corporate mergers. But today, as he eased into a leather seat in the first-class carriage, it wasn't business that played his thoughts. It was his wife, Evelyn, or rather his soon-to-be ex-wife. "Mind if I sit?" a voice asked. James looked up to see a man about his age, late 30s, dressed in a pale linen blazer, aviator sunglasses still perched on his head. He had the unsettling charm of someone who didn't care about what others thought. "Be my guest," James said. "I'm Sebastian Hill," the man said, sitting with casual ease. "I hate traveling alone. Don't you?" James offered a polite nod. "James Scott. Business or pleasure?" "Neither really. Divorce hearing." Sebastian whistled. "Oof. Tough. I'm headed to New York for a little, let's say, family cleanup." They talked. At first it was the usual chatter. Weather, sports, career. But somewhere around Albany, their conversation took a turn. "Ever think about what it would be like just to remove the people making your life miserable?" Sebastian asked. James laughed, uncomfortably. "I'm sure everyone has thought about it. Doesn't mean they'd actually do it. But what if someone else did it for you?" Sebastian's eyes locked on his. "Hypothetically, still murder," James replied, brushing it off. "But if two strangers did each other's dirty work, no motive, no connection. Like, I take care of your problem, and you take care of mine. No fingerprints, no suspicion. Clean as a whistle." "Interesting theory." James leaned back. "But I'm not looking to kill anyone." Sebastian smiled slyly. "That's the beauty of it. You wouldn't have to." By the time the train reached Grand Central, James chalked Sebastian up to an eccentric nutcase with too much time on his hands. They shook hands and parted ways. James didn't even think to exchange contact info. Why would he? The next week passed like a slow burn. Evelyn had moved out. The lawyers were circling like vultures, and James found himself living at a hotel. Then, on a rainy Tuesday morning, a news report stopped him cold. Socialite Evelyn Scott found dead in bathtub. Foul play suspected. He dropped his coffee. She had been strangled. No sign of forced entry, no clear motive. James's heart pounded. He hadn't seen her in a week. He had been on the train. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. "You're welcome," the voice said. It was Sebastian. "What the hell did you do?" "I kept my promise. Now it's your turn, James. Time to even the scales." James didn't know whether to vomit or scream. He had never agreed to anything. It had been a conversation, a hypothetical, a goddamn joke. Sebastian wasn't laughing. He sent an address, 2040 Birchwood Lane, outside Syracuse. "Her name is Susan Hill, my stepmother, a snake in silk. She made my father's life hell. When you're ready, I'll send her schedule." "I'm not doing this," James replied. "You owe me, and trust me, I'll make sure the cops thinks otherwise if you don't." James deleted the messages and tried to pretend it wasn't happening until a package arrived at his hotel. Inside, Evelyn's diamond wedding ring and a note. "You're already a part of this." James went to the police, wavering on whether to confess. But what could he say? That a man he met on a train might have just killed his wife? There was no proof. No deal, no threat in writing, just his word against silence. Worse, the detective on Evelyn's case, Detective May Chen, seemed suspicious already. You two were divorcing, she said. Big money involved. You weren't in Chicago when she died, and your hotel confirms you didn't leave for dinner the night off. I was watching a movie, James stammered alone. Convenient? James knew Sebastian was framing him. If he didn't go through with the exchange, Sebastian would tip the scales hard, but he couldn't kill someone. Curiosity, or maybe self-preservation, led James to 2040 Birchwood Lane. Susan Hill lived alone in a colonial-style house with a manicured garden. She looked nothing like a monster. Mid-50s, blonde, graceful. She volunteered at the local library and walked a poodle named Maxwell. What did Sebastian have against her? James followed her one evening, watching her buy groceries and tip the bag boy. He felt sick. He returned to his hotel and drank until dawn. The next day, another package arrived. Inside, a burner phone. 1 week, or you take the fall. James's hands shook every time he passed Susan's house. He kept replaying Sebastian's voice, the words like poison. You're already a part of this. He hired a private investigator, Tony Marone, to dig into Sebastian. 3 days later, Tony reported back. Sebastian Hill isn't who he says he is. Real name's Jeremy Crane. Used to live in California. Changed identity 2 years ago, after his real mother died under suspicious circumstances. And guess who inherited everything? James's blood ran cold. He's done this before. Looks that way. Sebastian had a pattern, and James was next. James tried to disappear. New hotel, new number, but Sebastian found him. You're not doing your part, James. That's disappointing. You're a psychopath. Sebastian chuckled. And yet you had no motive, means, and no alibi. The night your wife died. Tick, tock. Later that night, James received a final message. If Susan's not dead in 48 hours, I'll go to the police with proof. James had one option left to turn the game around. He called Detective Chen. I need to show you something. It's about Evelyn and someone else. He laid it all out. Sebastian, the train conversation, the threats, the packages. She listened carefully. You have no proof. Nothing admissible. Then help me get it. They hatched a plan. James called Sebastian. I'll do it. I need your schedule. Sebastian sent it within the hour. Later that night, James broke into Susan's home. She was out at the library. Everything was recorded. The hidden camera on James's jacket, the wire in his collar. But he didn't plant a weapon or lie in wait. Instead, he hid in the shadows and called the police. Then he called Sebastian. It's done, he said. Sebastian showed up at Susan's house an hour later, presumably to see the aftermath. Instead, he walked into handcuffs. Sebastian was arrested with a knife in his car and messages on his phone. James's recordings sealed the deal. Susan was unharmed, confused but grateful. Sebastian, or Jeremy Crane, was charged with the murder of Evelyn Scott and the attempted conspiracy to murder Susan Hill. James was cleared, barely. Detective Chen warned him. You danced with the devil, James. Next time, he might lead. The train station felt different now. No longer a place of chance, but of consequence. James boarded a new train. Destination unknown. As he looked out the window, he thought of Sebastian's voice, echoing through his mind like a haunting lullaby. You're already a part of this, but not anymore. This time, the stranger left the train alone. If you enjoyed the video, like and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.